Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Breckland Council's Cabinet meeting on Monday, the 13th of March. It's now come up to 10 a.m, so we'll now officially start the meeting. Item 1 then, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 6th of February 2023. Are colleagues happy that they're a true and accurate record? Lovely, thank you. Apologies for absence, Teresa.
Thank you, Chairman. We've had apologies from Councillor Cowan.
Thank you very much. Item 3, any urgent business? I've not been notified of any urgent business which requires addressing. Item 4, declarations of interest. If any members have any declarations of interest which aren't already recorded, please make sure you alert us at the relevant item if you don't wish to do so now. No. Item 5, non-members wishing to address the meeting, you are all most welcome and please do feel free to contribute throughout today's agenda. Item 6, chairman's announcements. I don't have any. So we'll move on to item 7, which is the Breckland Community Funding application. Alison, please.
Thank you, Leader, and good morning, everybody. Okay, I'm very pleased to announce the following Breckland Inspiring Communities match funding grants, which, subject to blue form completion, which is going to be tomorrow, are approved. The first one we have is the Charlotte Harvey Trust for £4,900 or 50% of the project cost. Obviously, all these are going to be 50% or more than that if it comes to it. You have to match fund. This project was supported by Councillor Gilbert, Councillor Kiddell and Councillor Bowes, and it's to improve the toilets and create additional storage space at Watton Community Centre. The second one we've got is Dereham Cancer Care for £4,652 to part fund the manager's post from September 2023 to December 2023. This project was supported by myself, Councillor Monument and Councillor Morton. Dereham Cricket Club is the next one, £3,850, which was the application to refurbish the Shah area. This project was supported by myself and Councillor Monument. Lopham's Village Hall and Playing Field Management Committee, £5,000 to install solar panels on the Village Hall roof. This project was supported by Councillor Marion Chapman-Allen. The next one is Love Dereham. This is towards a free monthly lunch in Dereham for people who are lonely, isolated or unable to afford a meal. This project was supported by myself and Councillor Monument. The next one is Narborough Local History Society, £2,887 towards the purchase of a portable building to be placed next to the museum and used for research and study. This project was supported by Councillor Peter Wilkinson. And the next one is Swaffham Swimming Pool, £5,000. This was to reopen the swimming pool, which is in the grounds of the convent, an outdoor swimming pool, I did ask. This project was supported by Councillor Wickerson and Councillor Sherwood. Then we have Thetford Music Project, £3,600 to support the weekly fees for up to 20 young people who could not afford this cost. This project was supported by Councillor Mike Brindle. Then we have Thetford Vineyard Church, which is the Grow Kids project, £4,500 to contribute to rental costs. And the final one is Weeting Bowls Club, £5,000. This is to refurbish the kitchen and supported by Councillor Sam Chapman-Allen. This completes round 4 of the match funding for this period, and this round was very popular and the competition, I will say, was very tough. So, where's Teresa? Thank you. Teresa, if you could put the slide up, please. So in total, we have spent more than £304,000 we've awarded to community groups and charities over the last 3 years, which is an amazing result, which we should be proud of. Match funding these projects has brought in just over £1 million worth of investment for our Best Brecklands residents, but I will say it's not just about the financial investment, it's about the difference we have made, whether it's a play area, refurbished sports centre or funding support groups to make a real difference to our residents' lives. As you can see from the slides, there's been a lot more pictures to, but we couldn't get them all on. So turning to the coronation grants. Turning to the coronation grants, which are also part of my awards today, which have also been very popular. 9 applications for new or renovating flagpoles to town councils, and an amazing 73 applications. I mean, how good is that? From our community for a total of £36,909 funding to run community events. I know personally the impact these events here, bringing our residents together to celebrate a once in a lifetime occasion. I saw it last year with the Jubilee, with a lot of the places I went to. It means a lot to be able to get together, talk to other people who you don't know and make new friends, as well as the fact you're celebrating this occasion. Finally, we are continuing to provide all towns with a large screen to stream the coronation. I want to take this opportunity to thank all members who have supported the funding, and a big thank you to Norfolk Community Foundation and the Breckland officers who have worked so hard to ensure that we are able to meet deadlines while maintaining fairness to all. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you very much, Alison. Any comments from colleagues at all? I've got Paul Hewitt and then Peter Wilkinson, please.
Thank you, Sam. Alison, we heard before the meeting started this morning from a series of community representatives making comments, asking questions right across the distance, right across the district, from both the match funding side and also from the coronation fundraising side, about how important these grants are for community groups and for residents right across the district. And closer to home, my colleague Linda Turner thanked you for the support that you've given to Shipton, both in terms of the Bullock Park and also in terms of the parish council, that in turn have been reflected by the grants that have been awarded today. And as Linda said, some of these grants might be relatively small in financial amount, but collectively, they are a really important contribution to our community groups and to our residents right across the district. I think at the time when so many people talk about how hard things are, so many people put things down, so many people put councils down and local community groups down, I think it's really vital that you have just raised those community groups back up again. 73 grant applications, just in terms of the coronation funding as a whole. Can I thank you and your team? It's been a tough job, but what a fantastic outcome for everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Yeah, I'd just like to say this, same as my colleagues just mentioned, that I'd like to thank Alison and her team for all the work they're doing for everybody. The one in particular in Narborough, the museum, that is not only keeping the history for future generations, but it's proved that it's turning into a health and mental well-being place for people to attend. And not only are we getting visitors from right across Breckland, we're actually getting them from all across Norfolk. And Breckland Council is recognised for helping the community there and the wider area. So thank you again.
Great, thank you. For no other comments in relation to that, we'll move on to the next item of business then. Item 8 then, Breckland Local Plan Full Update Reg 18 consultation. Councillor Suggett to present, please.
Thank you very much. As members will know, the council is undertaking a full update of the local plan, and in preparing this, the council must consult with local residents to seek their views on the proposed contents of the plan. We also need to engage with local and regional partners such as local authority, neighbouring local authorities and government agencies. I can confirm that the issues and options consultation started on March the 10th and will run until the 19th of May. And this is the first formal consultation as part of this update to the local plan. Its purpose is to ensure that the local plan under development covers all the right issues, including housing, jobs, infrastructure, health, climate change, and the built and natural environment. The council is continuing to prepare up-to-date evidence that will inform these discussions over the next few months, and that will feed into the preparation of the draft plan, which we also call the preferred options, towards the end of 2023. This includes important information on topic areas such as housing and economic development needs assessments, gypsy and traveller needs assessments, and integrated assessments. And future evidence will also be prepared on areas such as flood risk and open space requirements. In addition to this, the Planning Policy team will also be preparing topic papers and options on the key character areas of the local plan, including urban and rural development strategy, rural sustainability, settlement boundaries, environment and renewables, sustainable construction, town centres and retail, the economy and communities. It will be important to undertake continuous community engagement as additional information emerges and options are refined, that the key outcomes of this work feeds into the ongoing Regulation 18 consultation. It is intended that this will now take place in conjunction with the expert community engagement consultants engaged by the council. Members will be kept informed as to these outcomes through the local plan executive group and the ongoing all-member briefings. So I would like to recommend that Cabinet grants delegated authority to the Deputy Chief Executive in consultation with the Cabinet member with portfolio for planning to undertake additional community engagement under Regulation 18 as new evidence and information becomes available prior to the Council's consideration of the Regulation 18 draft plan. Thank you.
Sarah, any questions or comments in relation to this? I've got Councillor Hewitt, please.
Sam, just confirm on a point of information, I will not vote on this item because, as previously disclosed to you, I have an interest within this process.
Okay, thanks. I've got Councillor Crane, then Councillor Clausen, please.
Hello, yes, mine is just really a comment to say how pleased I am to see the word sustainability in there twice, to do with construction and rural sustainability. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to see that we're taking the consultation really seriously and trying to get to groups rather than the narrow standard ones we go to, and we're trying to make that as wide as possible. And I think that's really, really to be welcomed. And it's something that, as I certainly go out and around, I'm encouraging everybody to get involved with this, because this is what's going to shape the way Brecon looks like for the next 40 years or so. And so it's vital that everybody gets in there and has their say. And so it's got my full support. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So just obviously our next item of business is around the Norfolk Plan and Health Protocol. Within that, it talks about its involvement in Reg 18 and Reg 19 for local plans. Is a requirement for us to ensure that we're shoehorning in a statement around the revised, refreshed Norfolk Plan and Health Protocol within this part of the Reg 18 document, or not? Because at the moment I can't see any reference to it, but it may not be required.
No, I don't think it's required. What the health protocol does is set out the basis on the criteria for consulting with the health bodies. What we get back from the health bodies will be the evidence base that feeds into the local plan update.
Great, thanks. If there are no other comments or questions, Sarah's moved that recommendation. All those in favour? Thank you very much. I'll move on to item 9 then, which is Norfolk Plan and Health Protocol. Councillor Sarah Suggett to present again, please.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to present the revised Planning and Health Protocol May 22, which was prepared by the Norfolk Strategic Planning Policy Group, Norfolk County Council, Public Health and other health organisations, and has been endorsed by the Norfolk Strategic Planning Policy Framework and is currently being ratified by each Norfolk local authority. This protocol will be used for determining planning applications and to guide policies in the local plan update, with the aim to ensure that health considerations are adequately accounted for in new development, in the provision of health services, for example, doctor surgeries, as well as promoting health and well-being in the design of new developments, for example, walking, cycling infrastructure, green space and good air quality. The protocol has been revised to take account of new organisational structures within the NHS and new policies with both health and spatial planning. The protocol will be applied to all housing developments of 50 dwellings, but would also include any development under 50 dwellings, which is considered could impact on health services significantly, any development of care homes, housing for the elderly or student accommodation, and any development which would result in the loss of green space. Furthermore, there will be annual meetings with the local planning policy team, sharing of annual monitoring report information, the use of health planning checklist tool in the local plan work, and consultation at Reg 18 and 19 for the local plan. So I would like to recommend that Cabinet endorse the approach to embedding health and wellbeing in spatial planning, and also to endorse the revised planning and health protocol. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I've got Councillor Webb, please, and then Councillor Morton.
First of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Suggett for recognising the importance of health and wellbeing, and I'm so pleased to see that health and wellbeing green space is being included in the protocol. So I'd like to thank you and the team for the work you've done on, because we all recognise the importance of these subjects. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I fully support these proposals. The only concern I have is that a lot of the wording is already in the local plans, such as green space, walking and cycling infrastructure. Do you think this will give added weight to that? Because in the past, it hasn't always been a big factor in development.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Morton. I think what the health protocol does is it brings together, as you quite rightly say, a series of issues that we need to be looking at, both in terms of planning applications and in terms of local plan making. So it will add weight to those issues.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a quick comment. I think this is a wonderful piece of work going forward, and I hope it is succinct enough to actually feed into the local plan. The other thing that I think we should be looking at, as apart from the health and well-being side of planning, is a community safety. I think that's something which all developments should be looking at. At the moment, I think we consult only with the police to see how safe they think that is. But I think as planners, we should be able to build in community safety to developments over a certain size, overseeing of car parking spaces and that sort of thing. And I think that should be something we should be looking forward to in the future. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. So the Cabinet member nodded in agreement with that. Thanks. Councillor Clausen.
I think we shouldn't lose sight of some things are a really slow burn, and I really think we need to thank Councillor Bill Borrett, because he was instrumental in bringing planning and health together, and he's been working on this for a number of years, and it's absolutely brilliant to see that it's now being recognised and embedded, and so the hard work has been well worth it, Bill, and I think it's absolutely right that we're going this way. Thank you.
Well, that was unexpected. Thank you very much indeed. But I'd like to say that your own Cabinet member, Councillor Webb, has been integral to supporting the process. And I really do believe that the district councils across Norfolk have a really important role to play, as they demonstrated throughout COVID, as being the people on the ground with the local knowledge and the connections with the community and the resources. So I'm really glad to hear the endorsement from the Deputy Leader of the Council, because I think that Breckland is really an exemplar in this space, and it's great to see that so much positive work is being done. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Bill. If there are no other comments at all, Councillor Suggett's move that recommendation. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. So we'll move on to item 10, which is the Norfolk Environmental Credit Joint Venture. Councillor Suggett to present again, please.
Thank you again. Okay, nutrient neutrality was introduced to us last March by Natural England which means any development for overnight residential accommodation within the water catchments of the River Wensum and the Broads has to demonstrate that the development can achieve nutrient neutrality. This covered all of Norfolk and in particular Breckland, Norwich, North Norfolk, Broadland and South Norfolk. With these authorities, there is a moratorium on determining applications for residential development that falls within those catchments. In Breckland, that means that around 1,000 homes are currently not determined and are awaiting a way forward to deliver nutrient neutrality. Since March last year, officers within the planning service have been working closely with colleagues from other affected districts to ensure a consistent approach to determining applications, but also to work towards a solution that will enable houses to be delivered. As part of the solution, utilising monies provided by government, the districts have identified a number of potential mitigation solutions through work with Royal Haskoning, which they are seeking to develop with Anglia Water and landowners. The credits arising from these schemes will be delivered through a joint venture between some of the Norfolk district authorities and Anglian Water. It has already been named Norfolk Environmental Credits. Broadland and South Norfolk are already signed up, and it is considered important that Breckland is part of this group. It is also noted that a contribution of £30,000 towards the initial setup cost is also recommended. The group is set up to primarily, but not exclusively, support small and medium-sized builders who may struggle to get support elsewhere or deliver on-site mitigation. It is important to stress that the joint venture will not by itself deliver mitigation schemes, but they will provide a vehicle for the credits from those schemes to be distributed. There is as yet no clear timeframe for when those credits will come online. It's also important to note that Breckland is working with other partners independently of the joint venture, including Natural England and the Wendling Beck Environmental Project, to deliver mitigation solutions for development within Breckland. It is also working with developers to deliver solutions on site for some larger schemes, and members will see some of these coming forward over time. It is considered necessary to be part of the joint venture, as well as continuing to work with partners, and I commend the report to you. Sorry, I've lost the recommendation. Okay, sorry. So I recommend to Cabinet that we agree for Breckland Council to enter into a joint venture, a company limited by guarantee, with Anglian Water and one or more local authorities in Norfolk for the provision of environmental credits, initially focusing on addressing nutrient neutrality, in accordance with the attached draft heads of terms. Secondly, agrees to commit £30,000 revenue in 23-24 as part of establishing the joint venture. The purpose of the funding being to establish the operating model in year one, after which there will be full recovery of the operating cost as part of the credit income. And thirdly, delegates to the Deputy Chief Executive, in consultation with the portfolio holder for strategic and operational planning, to finalise the details of the joint venture agreement and operating arrangements and enter into the joint venture. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions or comments from colleagues? I've got Councillor Hewitt, then Councillor Wilkinson, then Councillor Morton, then Councillor Kittle-Morris.
Thank you, Chair. As a rule, I'm not a fan of offset credits, but where economic growth is stymied by a decision stopping development in its tracks, we've got to find a way to move forward, providing certainty for our communities who want development and for developers who want to develop. I think this is one part, Sarah, as you rightly say, of an innovative way to break the impasse. It allows communities to build back better and to build back stronger. Can I recommend the report for my colleagues?
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you. So the organisation we're trying to put together, would we be able to make our own decisions, or will Natural England have to sign it off? If you know what I mean, if we come up with what's right for Breckland and Norfolk, would National England have to sign that off, or will our group have that responsibility and go forward?
Thank you, Councillor Wilkinson. The environmental credits joint venture will have to do its own due diligence on the credits that it's selling. we'll have to make sure that they're fit for purpose and that Natural England are satisfied with the outcomes and the governance of those credits. So there will be close working with Natural England through this process.
Is that okay? Yep, great, thanks. Councillor Morton?
Thank you, Chairman. I agree fully with Councillor Hewitt's remarks. I think we do need to have this facility to gain environmental credits for developers to keep things moving along. It's not an ideal situation, as I don't like offset credits, but it's the best we've got at the moment. I hope we can pursue other policies to mitigate nutrient neutrality as well as this. My concerns with the trading company, which is what I see this as almost as a brokerage, are, is it funded well enough, and are there sufficient regulations or constraints to curtail our risk or understand the risk that people are making?
Good, thanks. Simon, are you happy to? Thank you.
Yeah, just to say that there is seed funding from another district that will help kickstart this off as well, and also Anglian Water, an integral part of the process, and it's my understanding that there is funding from them to start looking at mitigation projects as well.
Great, thank you. Councillor Kidder-Morris, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I applaud this. I think it's a proactive initiative to try and negate the effects of nutrient pollution especially in our case, the River Wensum. And I think the Cabinet Member for Housing has got a close association with that river, and I think he would applaud this as well. However, I wonder if the Cabinet Member could expand on the 30,000 that's in the deal that we have to put forward, and whether that's dependent on getting 5 local authorities to agree to this agreement that's in the papers.
Thank you. So the £30,000 is coming from our reserves account as outlined in the report, and it's not due that we get that money directly paid back to us, but it will hopefully, if all of this comes off, we will get that back in planning income that we won't necessarily be receiving if all of these developments which are halted don't ever come off. Within the setup costs, Anglia Water are paying about half. It's not evenly split amongst all of the parties who are in here. So Anglia Water are paying half, which I feel is a good sign of showing some commitment from them as to their part that they need to play in this. And the Broadlands have agreed to take out a further loan to step up where there's any shortfall of around £150,000. So that's currently where we sit with the finances. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So this is really to be welcomed, and I would like to say a huge thank you to Simon Wood and his team for getting us to this stage, because it came and hit us out of the blue and stopped, as Councillor Hewitt said, stopped planning in its tracks in Norfolk. The projects that you've mentioned, the Wendling Breck project, I had the privilege to go and see it. And I think that kind of project going forward is going to be an absolute exemplar. Well, it's already an exemplar. My question, if I might, is just asking for reassurance, because there was a fear that the really big developers would come in and wave their checkbooks and take all of the credit for what the hard work that we've gone. Can you reassure me and everybody else, please, that we have measures in place so that this is going to benefit Norfolk and in particular Breckland?
Okay, if I may, I think there's a couple of points to make there. I agree with you about the Wendling Breck environmental project. I think it's an excellent piece of work, and I do know that they have had a checkbook waved at them, and they're continuing to work alongside us. So I think that the people that are doing the mitigation work are keen to support local house builders and small and medium-sized house builders as well. The joint venture is designed primarily to support those those smaller house builders, and we would be looking to the bigger house builders to provide their own level of mitigation. We've had discussions with a couple of the major house builders, who I won't name now, but they are getting control and getting options on their own land in suitable locations to facilitate mitigation that they can provide for their own schemes. So yes, I'm confident that we will be able to focus on the small and medium-sized builders in Breckland.
Thanks, Paul. So Sarah, it's a flash to bang time, obviously cabinet for us today. Other local authorities are taking it through their due process. Once it's stood up, when will we expect to see the possible first support go into those small and medium house builders, please?
I think it's very difficult to give you a finite date. I know there is work taking place with Anglian Water to start looking at what they can do with local treatment works to start bringing credits forward, but there is no definitive time frame on that. I know it is hoped that there would be credits available sort of April, May onwards, but personally, I think I might just be a little bit optimistic. We're still only 12 months down the line from when this advice landed, so we've made significant progress in that time. There's a meeting on Thursday with the various councils to make sure that we can fix a time frame for credits to start coming forward, and I will keep members updated.
Great, and then final question. So from an operational planning perspective, do we have a bank of allocated credits so that your officers can then start moving through those 1,000 outstanding applications or paused applications? How will the operational planning piece work for you and your team, Simon, to reassure those developers and those individuals who are in need of housing across the districts?
We would be looking to take advantage of the joint venture credits that are being provided, but we're also working with other partners, and we're confident that in the next few months we should be able to use the credits provided by one of those private schemes to start bringing forward permissions within Breckland. Brilliant,
thank you. Are there other questions from colleagues at all? Councillor Suggett's moved that recommendation. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. I think that's us done with you now. Oh no, you've got one more later, Sarah, sorry. So we'll move on to item 11 then, which is the 2022 resident survey. Councillor Jane James to present, please.
Thank you, Chairman. And I'm pleased to share with you all today the findings of the resident survey and progress against the resulting action plan. The main headline from the survey is that the results overall are very positive and we're performing really well compared to other local authorities. All of this, being mindful of the context, is within a challenging local and national government landscape. We are now using this as an opportunity to build on our current activity, to maintain and improve upon these results going forwards and ensure there's no gaps in our activity. If I may, a couple of the key findings. So perceptions of trust in Breckland Council are high at 79%, and that's higher than statistics observed nationally and amongst Norfolk residents. Just under 3/4 at 73% are satisfied with the way Breckland District Council runs things. Satisfaction with the local area is also extremely high at 91%, and 57% are highly satisfied. Satisfaction is significantly higher than the national levels and amongst Norfolk residents from a 2019 survey. These findings are incredibly important as trust among residents provides the consent for us to operate and allows us, the council, to deliver further interventions that are important and valued by our communities. And that's been demonstrated by the responses regarding the importance of our corporate plan priorities, again within the survey, and as we saw earlier, with the positive impact our community grants programme has had. Following the results, in true Breckland style, we didn't sit back and celebrate. There is always the would be better if, and an action plan was produced for areas of focus so that we can enhance our offering to our community even further. Appendix A therefore shares the progress being made towards the action plan. I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Great, thanks Jane. Questions or comments from colleagues? I've got Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure over the next few weeks, a number of people, perhaps inside and outside of this chain, but will be taking opportunities to put this council, this district and our residents down. I don't know why, but I suspect maybe it's something to do with something in May, Chair. I think this survey is a very timely reminder that actually we are not just a good council, but we are a great council. Across almost every measure in the survey, we outperform residents in Norfolk, residents in the UK, and actually even outperform our own high standards the last time we carried out a customer survey overall. What I hope over the next few weeks is that within any noise that we might hear, we are clear as a council that what we do is great for residents, it's great for business, and it's great for Breckland as a whole. And I would commend anybody, Chair, who has access to the survey to look at it in detail and just say exactly how strong our performance has been over the last few years. But I also echo very closely Councillor James' comments, which is even though we outperform in so many measures, we can still do better. And I think it's that drive, it's that passion that sets this council so far ahead of so many other councils in Norfolk. Commend it, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I would follow on with that idea that we should look at improving where we can, and probably no surprise, I looked at the climate change figures on page 76, and which are lower than the others. They're not the best, so I think we should plan to improve them. And I would certainly like a bit more clarification on a couple of points where it says Breckland Bridge development included environmental measures, and further down where we're saying that developers are encouraged to reduce their carbon footprint through our planning advice. I've not really seen much evidence of that, but probably it would be nice to have clarification on it. Thank you.
So I'll come to you shortly. I'll ask Councillor Hewitt in a second just to comment on Breckland Bridge and their environmental credentials, which went through the business plan back in October, and Councillor Suggett just to talk around the environmental policies emerging through our local plan. But I've got Councillor Borwick next, please.
Thank you very much. It's always heartening when we go and say that everything, the residents are at the heart of everything we do, when we get some feedback from the residents that agree that the council is listening and responsive to the residents' concerns. And whilst I do accept that there is no place for complacency, because that is how we've always managed to keep Breckland on the front foot, I am very pleased to see these very positive results. I mean, I think some of the things that we have flagged as being really important issues have come out of the survey's key findings. So the public are telling us that change and improving services to make them more efficient is really important to them, and that is something that we have been focused on. They have said that they would like the council to generate an income by renting our own properties. That's very strong, and that's been again key a part of the delivery of Breckland Council to subsidise the services that we produce by creating income, so that we don't have to turn to residents through council tax to pay for them, and reducing back office bureaucracy is another thing that is important. So I think it's not a coincidence that this is the strategy of the council, but it's good to see that there is feedback from the residents saying that these things that we're doing on their behalf are to them very important as well. Thank you, Leader.
Great, thanks, Bill. So I'll come to Paul Hewitt first, and then Sarah, and then I've got Councillor Clausen next, please.
Thank you, Leader. Although, to be fair, you did actually mention the point I was going to make in response to Councillor Morton. Councillor Morton, you may recall that you asked a similar question, I think, when we extended the business plan for Breckland Bridge, and my response is just the same. We cannot dictate to a joint venture what the joint venture does. Breckland Bridge is not a subsidiary of Breckland, it is a joint venture. But what we can do is we can push Bridge as best we can as an exemplar for best practice in environmental and other measures to be a beacon, I think, reflecting what good environmental build looks and feels like within the district. So I can assure you as best I can, bearing in mind that we don't dictate to Breckland Bridge what they do, but we can certainly put pressure on them at every stage to ensure that those environmental measures are met.
Great, thanks. Councillor Suckett.
Thank you. I think we need to bear in mind the balance of all the different strains that we do have, and it's not going to be a case of planning can fix everything, but we will work with the planning and the local plan to do as much as what we can to address some of the concerns that you have. We're in the perfect time with updating the local plan for all of that to be fed into. I'm really encouraged by the attendance that we're receiving at the all member briefings. We've always kind of wrapped that round with a bit of an open door policy. So if you can't attend those briefings, or it's something what you feel we could do is spending a little bit more time on, I'm encouraged to get that feedback, and for anybody to come to us whenever they have something pop up in their mind. Sometimes the best ideas or the best things always come up when we're least expecting it. We've had some really good attendance at our design guide briefings which have been had. The environment and sustainability has been a core part of those conversations what have been had, and the encouraging thing of those meetings has been the variety of people that have been in attendance. We've had residents, we've had parish councils, and we've also had the developers there. So as much as we can try and do what we can as the local authority, it's really encouraging to see the developers getting behind those credentials as well. Thank you.
Lovely. Councillor Clausen, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I think these are an absolutely remarkable set of figures when you consider we lost 2 years to COVID, and then to go out and get this kind of feedback, I think is absolutely incredible. In fact, I think that they're the best set of figures I've ever seen since I've been a councillor, and I've been a councillor for a fair few years now. I also think that when we start looking at this and we reflect on these figures and what our recent peer review has been saying to us, and they equally are praising us for carrying on and always wanting to get better and better and better. But I think equally there was something that I think we should take on board, and that is they were saying, don't just carry on, carry on, carry on. What you need to do is to actually reflect and understand how good you really are, and to accept that you are doing really, really well, and just to almost enjoy the moment. And I think that's where I'm at, Chairman. I'm enjoying this moment very, very much. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. If there are no other comments, yeah, Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was always taught in business that if you want to succeed, you get the best team you can get. And lucky enough in Breckland, we have the best team. We have fantastic district councillors. We have fantastic officers. We have fantastic leaders. And this is reflecting in these results. So all I want to do is say thank you to everybody. And I also want to thank the residents of Breckland who support us as they do. So I'd like to thank everybody and say well done.
Thanks, Paul. So if there's nobody from anybody else, Jane, thanks to you and your team. Bit of work we've now got to do as always to continuously strive for excellence as we do in Breckland. And we'll wait for another couple of years for the next resident survey to come around. So thank you for that. And that report is just for noting. So colleagues have nodded to duly note. Let's move on to item 12, which is the Norfolk devolution deal paper contained with the agenda pack 78 to 79. Colleagues will hopefully be aware around the current position as presented within the agenda pack that Norfolk is being invited through phase 1 to move forward with a Norfolk devolution deal as part of what's now being referred to as county deals. As the report alludes to, this is a deal and conversation directly with Norfolk County Council and not involving us as a statutory consultee with government, but we are involved through the existing meetings of Norfolk leaders and Norfolk public sectors around how Norfolk County Council is progressing with their negotiations. Currently, where we are is the consultation is open through Norfolk County Council. Norfolk County Council have devised a set of questions which is out for public consultation for everybody to respond to. As we are not a statutory consultee, we are just a normal consultee, we are going to be responding to the consultation. The questions are within the appendix, within this item, the questions and our response. I'd like to thank Andrew Holdsworth for pulling this together and extracting the thoughts from members at the Over and Scrutiny Commission, thoughts of myself, Cabinet and senior officers, and also the two informal briefing sessions which occurred with members and the leader of Norfolk County Council for where we are today. Happy to take any questions in relation to this, but this is for Cabinet to agree the Council response to the Norfolk County deal for Norfolk consultation and delegate to the Chief Executive submission for the final response in consultation with the leader. I've got Councillor Hewitt first, please.
Thank you, Sam. Two thoughts come to mind when I look at both the consultation and also when I look at our response, which I think is the best response we can give under the circumstances. The first of these thoughts, I heard once that you never give a megalomaniac who wants a bigger train set more track. And the second response that I thought about was that a drowning person might welcome a leaky life jacket, but it will not sustain that person for long. Neither of these images are particularly positive, but both, can I suggest, sum up the deal, Sam, as is currently presented to us. No organization in the history of organizations has ever solved systemic weaknesses by getting bigger. The deal as it stands is not a good deal for Norfolk. It is not a good deal for Breckland. It looks increasingly like a few blokes got together in a pub after a skinful of Guinness, talked to some mates in Yorkshire, and then talked to their other mates, and the world always looks more optimistic through the bottom of a beer glass. For me, the 20 million annual payment won't even cover the interest bill for Norfolk in a couple of years' time. Our residents deserve better. Our residents deserve local knowledge with local challenge, local oversight, and to be fair, a proper consultation exercise, not a glib praise sandwich of a handful of questions that have been cherry-picked to get the response that they want from people who, to my mind, sit in an ivory tower, devoid of any local accountability, and focus just on the extremities of the county rather than the local issues that are facing local people. I think the response articulates our view as best that it can, but through you, Sam, can I call upon those people that the architects of this deal do actually listen to take note of our response and the response of those other people who know exactly what the deal is all about.
Lovely, thank you, Paul. Any other comments? Councillor Morton, then Councillor Wilkinson, please.
Thank you. I would generally agree with what Councillor Hewitt has just said, which is the second time now. I do think the 20 million feels a bit like a cheap bribe, and my feeling is that this isn't devolution. It's the questionnaire is badly phrased. Far from devolution, it's actually centralising power more in one place, which, as already said, they aren't handling it that well anyway. Devolution would actually give power down the chain to more local residents, and that's what we should be looking for.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I'd like to say I'm very pleased and relieved that you have persevered and with your peers and got a voice for Breckland in this negotiations. We've got to think about Breckland and Norfolk as a whole, and I think having a district council voice like yourself, along with other hopefully districts, you will be heard to and listened to, and hopefully bring a deal for Norfolk which is acceptable and benefits our residents.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I also think this is a superb piece of work. And I think we keep being told by the County Council that this is the only deal on the table. Well, if the only deal on the table is a bad deal, why on earth are they going and suggesting we buy into it? This actually sets out in great detail, if people are willing to read it. And I would strongly urge anybody that has Norfolk's future at its heart to give this a serious read, because this is the only chance we've got in town for me at the moment. And I think you've done a superb piece of work here, Chairman. Thank you.
Great, thank you. If there's nobody else at all, the recommendations have been presented. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Move on to item 13, which is delivery of planning and building control services. Councillor Suggett to present, please.
Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to bring this paper to us all this morning. As we're all aware, the Planning and Building Control Service has been out to contract for the past 14 years. And within that contract, we have the right to ask for an extension. The agreement to that is we have to give Capita 1 year's notice if that is our intention. Given the scale of the importance that this opportunity gives us as the council, an exercise was carried out to fully understand what all of the options are. Those options were identified as being an extension, to tender, to share with another local authority, or to bring the service in-house. And as you can imagine, whilst looking through all of these options, there was a variety of difficulties and challenges that were presented. These included a changed market for an outsourced product such as this, quite stringent procurement rules, rightly so, and what it was that we might be looking to extend, we would be quite restricted within our current contract. And there was a real lack of appetite amongst other local authorities to share such a key service with ourselves. So therefore, the recommendation is to bring this service in-house. This would see a natural end to the contract. The contract was taken out for 15 years, and that is what we are looking to do. We will just bring the service back in-house next June. There will be no material change seen until June next year. We'll be able to start the TUPE process, which will be a long process whereby the staff will be transferred over to Breckland. And there will be no immediate redesign, but it does give an option for a Breckland defined future fit model for us to explore. As would be expected over any 14-year duration of a contract, there has been ups and downs, but I am pleased to say that we have got strong relations with Capita. Nationally, they have provided us support and resilience over the recent years, which we are extremely grateful for. Locally, we have an exceptional team here in Breckland. They have a great reputation, both nationally and locally. There's respect amongst their peers, showing great performance, and they're at an enviable position regarding recruitment, retention, and development. And it's a huge credit to the management team that despite factors such as nutrient neutrality, government white papers, and us updating our local plan, that we still have a team showing such great credentials, and it's a team and a service that we should all be proud of. And it's this team that we mustn't lose sight of. Despite all the technicalities in this report and the language that we use, we can call it a contract, but we must remember that the huge impact this will have will be on all of the staff. And I want to reassure you all in the room and the Capita staff that support will be on hand to guide everybody through the process. As outlined in the report, there are annual savings to be realised of around £200,000. And we will receive all future income for major planning applications in addition to this. An in-house option gives us the opportunity to be flexible in developing and improving our already great service. And I think it's safe to say that this is not the only conversation that we will have about our planning service, but it is an important first step that we need to take. So I would therefore like to recommend to colleagues that Cabinet recommends to full council that upon expiry of the initial contract with Capita for planning and building control services in June 24, that these services should return to the council. Secondly, that the Deputy Chief Executive, in consultation with the Executive Member for Strategic and Operational Planning, is given delegated authority to take the necessary action to formalise the end of the contractual arrangements with Capita for planning and building control services. And lastly, that the Deputy Chief Executive, in consultation with the Executive Member for Strategic and Operational Planning, is given delegated authority to take any necessary actions for the return of the planning and building control service to the council and associated changes in budget and establishment. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, Sarah. Any questions or comments from colleagues in relation to this item? I've got Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think outside of bins, planning is probably one of those few areas where we touch more of our residents on a day-to-day basis than just about anything else. Every resident will have a view, particularly if they are not necessarily on the successful end of a planning application. But throughout the whole of that process, I think our planning team, our local planning team, have been quite exceptional. Yes, we haven't got everything right, but let's be blunt, we've gone through a series of national and more local, with areas like nutrient neutrality, real challenges. But at each stage, the planning team have stood up. They've asked the question, how can we help? And they've then taken the next step to ensure that the service that we offer to our residents is strong and effective. I read somewhere in an article, I can't quite remember where, that we want to see improvements to the way Breckland Council manages the planning process. We don't support an outsourced planning department run by a private company. What I'm hoping is that this change to our whole process will encourage the whole of the political spectrum to come behind us in terms of what we're achieving, to support absolutely the planning team within Breckland and to deliver a service over the next 14, 15 years that meets precisely the needs of our residents and our businesses.
Thanks ever so much. Anybody else at all in relation to this item? Councillor Webb, please.
Thank you. I just want to say a big thank you to Councillor Suggett and the team for recognising the importance about how unsettling change is to people. The planning team, as we all know, is well respected within Breckland. Any change can be very unsettling, and the communication that's been happening between Councillor Suggett's team and the staff and all round really has led to a confidence that this situation can be handled not only in a good way for the business, but in a good way for people as well, which is the important thing, because the last thing we need is the team to get upset about what's happening and not know what's happening and leave, because as we all know, there are shortages of planning staff, where there is right across the country. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Great, thanks. And only comment from me to Sarah and team. Obviously, throughout the life of this contract, things have changed, and the decision made back then was the right decision, as planning and planning policy, DM, looked very different to where it is today. And I think colleagues have alluded to the fast moving pace of planning across the last couple of years itself, with changes around planning policy, nutrient neutrality, and everything else, design codes which are going on. And actually, as a council, we have changed and adapted around how we deliver that plan, where it's around our neighbourhood planning team, our planning policy team. And we always knew that this was going to become a point where we had to make a decision. And I think it's absolutely right and proper that we made that decision back then. We made those efficiency savings of 3.7 million to residents and businesses, which was the right thing to do. It allowed us to have that strategic oversight across the whole country and allowed us to have that resilience. And now, as things have moved on, it's right and proper for us to bring that team back in-house and for us to give that certainty, as Councillor Webb said, to those staff, around the future of that contract, but more importantly, to allow us to move forward as Team Breckland to ensure that all of our officers across the whole of the authority are supporting our future ambition and aspirations around some of those immensely important activities which we've spoken around. We do that anyway, but I think this will give us that greater resilience and flexibility and allow us to be more agile and adaptable as government continues to throw these fastballs and hospital passes towards us, to make sure we're responding at pace and building a team in our own power and our own gift to respond to those needs and challenges we and our residents and businesses face. So I support the recommendations as presented and thank you and the team for that. I know that you've briefed all members of this council in the last 2 weeks around the decision for this, and I know it's forthcoming to council for that formal decision and for council to ratify, but I'm content to support the recommendations from cabinet to council. So if there are no other questions or comments in relation to that, we've got those recommendations as presented. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. So move on to the final item of today's business, which is item 14, reference for the Over and Scrutiny Commission. And I ask Steve James, the Executive Director, to present this item, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to confirm, these were the recommendations that came out of overview and scrutiny following the motions at full council. We have divided those recommendations up to appropriate either people or committees in the council. And just to reassure members that, of course, there is lots of work going on across this council to support those in hardship or in fuel poverty. And we are, of course, promoting support that's out there for our residents.
Great, thanks so much. And this is for Cabinet colleagues to note, particularly there are 3 items in the report that OSC's got some actions they will now pick up and work with. The executive member and the director will work through those areas which we've already got well in train and those final recommendations to the commission, from the commission to us itself. Most of it's been picked up in business as usual, but we'll make sure reporting back to the commission in the new council cycle post May of how we've progressed with those actions they've entrusted to cabinet. So colleagues note, thank you very much. So final item 15, the details of the next meeting will be on Tuesday the 30th of May at 9:30 in the Anglia room. There'll be no public questions for that meeting. Can I just say a final word of thanks, as this is the last cabinet of this council cycle over the last 4 years. Can I thank all the officers who have supported the cabinet in undertaking our ambition for this council. I think over the last 4 years, you've seen we've moved at pace. We've had a tremendous 2.5 years through the pandemic in which residents and businesses look to the district councils for that support and that guidance, and we've undertaken that. And to all the members of this council who have attended cabinet to support our undertaking, as you know, through me as chair, I've allowed every member of this council the opportunity to ask questions, to challenge, to scrutinise, to hold the cabinet to account at this meeting and all subsequent and previous cabinet meetings. And I hope that whoever is the leader of the day post-May will continue in that train and that thought. And regardless of what political affiliation, I wish you all the best of luck in the elections in May if you're continuing to stand. So thank you, and to Max and your officer team, thank you for your support.